Paul Krugman is back by popular demand, even though one prominent viewer with no influence over this program attacked Professor Krugman after his last appearance here. Donald Trump leveled an insult at Paul Krugman, far worse than anything ever said about a Nobel Prize winning economist, but not as bad as many of the things Donald Trump has said about me. Professor Krugman will be given an opportunity here tonight to reply to Donald Trump's insult, if he dares. But we begin our discussion with some of the economic news of the day. Core inflation, which excludes food and energy prices, rose by 3.1% last month, the fastest annual pace in 5 months, the New York Times reports.
Donald Trump's tariffs ruled illegal and unconstitutional, yet his lawyers say giving Americans their money back could destroy the economy. Tonight, Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman has some strong words. Let's break this down.
The July data, which was released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, provides a clear sign that businesses are being affected by tariffs. Some have begun to pass along those related costs more readily to their customers after a prolonged period of muted price gains. The economy is weaker because of tariffs, said Stephen Stanley, chief U.S. economist at Santander. Businesses are being very cautious. They're not investing. They're not hiring, he added. Noted that consumers were also pulling back in the face of higher prices. And predictably, at 10:24 a.m., Donald Trump tweeted, quote, "Tariffs have not caused inflation or any other problems for America other than massive amounts of cash pouring into our Treasury's coffers. 100% of the tariff cash pouring into the Treasury comes from the United States of America, and only the United States of America. No foreign country has ever paid and never will pay a tariff imposed by this country. And there is only one president in the history of the United States who publicly insists that he doesn't comprehend that simple fact about tariffs. Every penny of the $130 billion that the United States Treasury has collected in tariffs so far this year has been paid by Americans, American companies and individuals who have imported foreign goods into this country. They have paid those tariffs at the port of entry here in the United States, and they paid the tariffs directly to the federal government officials who collect those tariffs from Americans who pay them at the ports of entry here in the United States. And so,
before we get to the politics, here's the economic backdrop. Inflation is ticking up, and tariffs are playing a big role. Businesses are passing those costs to you, the consumer.
If a federal court of appeals and the United States Supreme Court agree with the United States Court of International Trade, the experts on tariffs, and rule that those tariffs are illegal and unconstitutional, all of the tariff money that has been collected might have to be refunded and would go to Americans, which makes Donald Trump's lawyer's letter to the appeals court hearing the case against his tariffs all the more absurd. The United States Court of International Trade, which is the federal court that specializes in international trade, unanimously ruled that the Trump tariffs are illegal and unconstitutional. That case is now on appeal, and Donald Trump's Justice Department lawyer actually told the appeals court today in writing, quote, "If the United States were forced to pay back the trillions of dollars committed to us, America could go from strength to failure the moment such an incorrect decision took effect." So that's Donald Trump's lawyer lying and telling the court that trillions of dollars have been committed to the United States. That's a lie. And telling the court that if the $130 billion in tariff money illegally collected by Donald Trump has to be returned to Americans, that would be a problem.
Trump says tariffs aren't causing any problems except making America richer. But here's the truth. Every single penny is coming from American pockets. A federal court has already ruled Trump's tariffs illegal. Now it's on appeal. His lawyers claim paying Americans back could cause a Great Depression. Really?
Donald Trump cut the taxes of the highest earning Americans by $1 trillion, gave them $1 trillion. The Trump lawyer's letter to the appeals court said, the president believes that a forced dissolution of the agreements could lead to a 1929-style result. In such a scenario, people would be forced from their homes, millions of jobs would be eliminated, hardworking Americans would lose their savings, and even Social Security and Medicare could be threatened. That's the Trump prediction for giving Americans back the $130 billion that Donald Trump illegally took from them. It's a tiny amount of money within the context of the full American economy and the federal budget of the United States of America. The Wall Street Journal mocked the ridiculous Trump letter to the court as, quote, a doomsday tariff letter today.
So, is Trump right? Or is this all political theater? Here's Paul Krugman's take. Even Trump's Treasury Secretary is basically arguing we've stolen too much money to give it back. Let that sink in.
Today's report on inflation by the Bureau of Labor Statistics was the first since Donald Trump fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics for telling the truth. Yesterday, in an interview with Fox, Donald Trump's choice to lead the Bureau of Labor Statistics, E.J. Antoni, said, until it is corrected, the BLS should suspend issuing the monthly job reports, but keep publishing the more accurate, though less timely, quarterly data. That is the single most absurd and reckless thing ever said by anyone chosen by a president to lead the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
And finally, Trump's hand-picked head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics wants to stop issuing monthly jobs reports, which is literally illegal.